Hello, my name is Matthew Thomas. I'm a journalist with The Things, and I'm here with the Survivor icon, Kelley Wentworth. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to chat.
So, out of all the Survivor players, I honestly feel like you're like one of the people who I'd want to talk to about Survivor 50 the most because I feel like your Survivor Cambodia experience is so applicable to what everything that's going on with that between like that having the first time you had the fan vote and then like just your story with Cambodia really I think applies. So first off, right off the bat, I'm curious, how do you feel about the fact that this is Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans, but there isn't a opportunity for the fans to vote on who gets to play?
Oh gosh, I feel like you're trying to get me in trouble. I'll play nice, I promise. Okay, let me start by saying that I believe, not just because I was on the season, but I do believe that the second chance theme and the way that the fans were involved in that season was one of a kind, iconic. Everybody loved it. I think it was great for the series. I wish that they would do it again. I truly thought that this season might be a second chance style season where they would do another vote for the fans to be able to choose the cast, and I was very excited for that. We have since learned, obviously, that we are voting on game elements, which I was excited about at first. A few of them came out. Live reunion. Everybody wants the live reunion back. If that does not happen, it's rigged. Okay, let's just say that right now.
That would be so outrageous.
Yeah, we need it. We need it for so many reasons, which I won't get into. But I just feel like some of the things that have come out since then, not as exciting. And so I think the show wants to, they want the cast that they want, and they don't want the fans deciding the cast because they have a vision for that. Jeff has come out and said he wants it to be a fun season. He wants it to be very easy, no villains. Jeff is not really in the villain era right now. So I wish they would have let the fans choose the cast, though. I think that the fans loved it last time. They would have loved it again. I think they made the right decisions last time, and they would not have disappointed us. So it is a little frustrating, but it's okay.
Yeah, I was amazed that they didn't do that because personally, in my opinion, like I'm not just saying this because I've talked to you. I've written an article ranking my favorite seasons ever. Cambodia to me is by far one of the best seasons ever, and I do not think it's a coincidence that it like fans had the ability to vote on the players. But I will say I agree. I do 100% agree with you. Like a lot of the things that they have given fans to vote on, I've been like, "Woo, tribe colors!" I'm super excited about that. But the third round had the ability to vote on how many advantages the players had. And in a way, I actually feel like that's much more impactful than even who's going to be on the season. Because to me, like there's been so many examples like the horrible journey earlier this season with the rolling of the dice. Having too many advantages to me completely takes me out of the game more than almost anything else. So if I had to choose between voting for how many advantages there were and who gets to play, I would honestly choose the advantages. How do you feel about being able to vote on how many and what kind of advantages they are?
Well, I don't want to burst your bubble, but I think that the question was framed up in a way where the show is still going to have advantages because they basically said, do you want like all these crazy advantages? It allows players to kind of change their game, or do you want this old school, like no advantages? And there's just no way that season 50 is not going to have, or sorry, not advantages, twists, excuse me. I'm like all over the place, but twists, like there's no way that they're not going to have twists or different types of advantages in the game. And so I do think that Jeff and the team are making us feel like we are a part of it and we are deciding. But when it comes down to it, the show is going to be what they want it to be. And so even if we all vote old school, we don't want a bunch of twists, there are still going to be things because I believe that that's just the new era. That's just how they see Survivor now. So I like where your head's at, but I would say I would still choose the cast because I think we would have more control over that.
That's interesting. The funny thing is, so when I saw, because it came out on social media like hours before the vote opened that there was going to be like that you can vote on the advantages, and the immediate thought in my head was, I wish there was like a middle ground because like to me, like honestly, like I'll go back to Cambodia again because I mean, like I said, it's a season I love. Like to me, that season had like the perfect amount of advantages in it. That's what like to the point where like you didn't have something like Suri getting eliminated because there was that many many advantages, but you had enough advantages to also keep things like interesting. So to me, like I kind of like after reading the write-ups, the old school version, which isn't really the old school version, is kind of the middle ground version that I wanted to be from to begin with.
We shall see. That's all I can say. We shall see. But I did put out a video yesterday on social media saying if we can find some middle ground, I think that is where we would feel comfortable and be happy as fans. Because to your point, the dice game, the ability for people to not choose to lose their vote or not lose their vote, that's where I start to have an issue because your vote is currency. Like Survivor is based around voting other people out. And so when you go and you have to roll dice or you have to play a certain game, and they don't say you can play this game and choose to lose your vote or you cannot play and keep it. When they just say you have to play and you're going to lose it or you're going to keep it, that's where I think we've gone too far. And so, yes, I'm with you. I would love to see some sort of middle ground. I'm not the person that's saying no twists. Obviously, we have to have twists. Otherwise, we're going to have a very boring season. But yeah, I think that just too many twists just takes away from what Survivor is at its core.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like speaking of the journey with the dice, one of the parts about it that the whole scenario that I found the most outrageous was the fact that two out of the three people who went on that journey didn't even have a choice to go on the journey. They were forced to go on the journey. I was like, man, could you take away any more agency from these people in this moment? I was blown away by how that was set up.
So true.
So the returning players coming back for Survivor 50. So one of the things the reason why I thought that out of all the people who've played that I want to talk to you about Survivor 50 so much is because I was so fascinated by your specific experience during Cambodia. Because like to be perfectly forthright, I remember when you got cast on Survivor Cambodia, be thinking like kind of being a little bit underwhelmed, to be honest. I
That's
wasn't.
totally fair. You
I was not the
would say the
biggest.
same.
Yeah, I was not the biggest fan of your first season, like you in your first season, I should say, San Juan del Sur. But then when you come back for Cambodia, I mean, like it was one of the most mind blowing performances out of that era, if not the history of Survivor. So I was curious, like with with the production having the control, I feel like that they'll most likely bring in some people that fans will be underwhelmed by. Like, what kind of like opportunity do you think that would be for those players to rewrite their histories?
I think it would be huge. I think the thing on Survivor is that every game is going to be different. I can say for myself, the first time I played, I just didn't know what I was doing. Everything was new. I had no idea what it meant to go talk to a producer with a camera in your face and answer questions about the game. I was afraid of getting voted out. I was very timid. It was just all so new that by the time I was voted out, I had just kind of started getting in a rhythm. Whereas when you go back for a second time, you know how production works. You know how the pregame works. You can hit the ground running day one. That's probably why you enjoyed a game like Second Chance, is because not only were we all in there fighting for our lives and fighting for the fans, but we hit the ground running on day one because we knew how it worked. We knew what was at stake. We knew that the fans had a say in this and nobody wanted to disappoint them. And so it was just created this really iconic season. So I do think that there is a great opportunity for people to come back and prove themselves in a different way if they take the opportunity. You kind of have to just go in with like no risk, no reward. Like you just have to play as if even if I get voted out first, like I just have to go for it. So I think we will see potentially that happen with some people. I mean, the other thing can happen where you get a legend that has played before and they come back and you have high expectations for them and it's nothing like you thought. So it can go either way.
So if you did have the opportunity to influence who would be coming back, like what kind of players would you want to see coming back? Would you want to see those like legendary players that have played over and over again, which I feel like it would be kind of redundant or maybe even a little bit boring to have them come back? Or would you rather have like more of a mix of players that were kind of underrated or not even necessarily underrated, but didn't get to have like that gonzo moment during their first season to come back and rewrite their histories?
I'm in the camp of let people who have only played once, maybe twice, come back again. So I would love to see Angelina from David versus Goliath. I would also love to see Christian from that season come back. I'm a little bit nuts in that I would still like to see someone like an Abby Maria come back just because I love the chaos and I just think she's fun to watch. But in terms of people, like, even myself, people are like, "Kelley, we'd love to see you on 50." I'm like, "Why? Babe, why?" Like, "No. I don't wanna see me. I don't wanna see Boston Rob. I don't wanna see Sandra. I don't wanna see." No shade to any of those people because I'm putting myself in that same category of, like, I've just played and I've done it, and we've kind of ended the story. I just would like to see fresh blood. To your point, I would like to see people that can kinda give us a little bit more. We've only seen them one time, so what else can they pull out? What other tricks do they have? Like, we don't know. Let's see it play out. So I'm in the camp of leave the people that have played 3 or 4, 5 times at home. We've done it. We've been there. Let some of the fresh meat come in, and that is more exciting and more entertaining for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, the way I asked that question may have been a little bit leading, but obviously that's
No, not at all. I would have said the same even if you didn't say it. Like I've
yeah,
said that to people. Like
yeah. I mean,
you can
I
ask
couldn't.
people that I talk to. I'm like, no, like
Yeah.
it's fine.
So, the other thing that I was interested about, like, because you were mentioning earlier about how you wanted to see these players go in and like really wanted to take like risks and whatever. So I was curious, as somebody who, like, you like, I from to me the players that like from your era, they kind of bridge the two different eras of the season where you had like the people who just wanted to have super straightforward, and then you have the current big moves era. Where do you fall in on that? Like, do you wanna see the players just constantly making big moves, trying to build their resume? Or because, like, to me, when you were doing all the stuff that you did during Cambodia, none of it to me came across as, like, specifically wanting to make big moves. It was just the smart move for you at that moment. So,
Mhm.
like, I'm not the world's biggest fan of, like, people trying to build their resume, so I'm just curious how you fall in on that.
I prefer moves to come together naturally. I think that's the time you're gonna get the best TV. I really don't like I've seen some tribal councils where it's felt like the talking and the getting up and the making a new plan is forced, and I'm not a fan of that. I was a part on season 38 of a very live tribal that truly the vote changed there because of things that were said, and I don't feel like it's always like that. Like people sometimes see things like that and maybe they go out to play and they wanna recreate that. They're like, "Oh, I want that moment," or "I want that big thing," but I'm just a fan of just that, like, authentic, let's have it be as organic as possible, happen how it happens. I mean, there is a time and place to make a big move. I think we could look at this season and, listen, no shade, but, I am 1 episode away from not watching anymore, okay? Because it is not exciting to me. I loved last season, like, season 47, I loved it so much. I was on social media praising it, like, "I love it! Give me more of this!" It had everything. But this season is just a little too predictable, a little too boring. So I feel like in this season, we could use someone like coming in and being a little frantic and making a big move. So uh, I always wanted to be, I wanted to play out just naturally, but at the same time, sometimes I'd be fine for a little chaos and someone just doing it to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally agree with you that from Survivor 48 hasn't definitely not been the most thrilling for me, but I will say that there have been like some elements of it that I've absolutely loved though. Like I adore watching Camilla and Kyle play together. Like I think they're so incredible. Like the move that they pulled to get out from underneath being under the bottom there was so good. Like like and like the fact that they had the confidence to not constantly be checking in on each other, like I am super impressed by them.
Yes, but that's what else? Tell me what else.
I mean, some of the other players I like a lot, but I mean, I like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Survivor 48 either, and there've definitely been some parts of it I've absolutely hated, like the journeys that we mentioned earlier. But like, and
Yeah.
there's some parts of the season I found heartbreaking too. Like I seeing how Star was treated for the first several episodes, I thought was really frustrating because like I did not understand why it seemed like nobody was giving her a chance, which I wanted to ask you about because like I felt like during again going back to Cambodia,
Yes.
yeah, where like it seemed like there was a degree where you were almost kind of treated like the same way, where for some reason at the beginning you were just on the outs, and it seemed like nobody was giving you that chance to get incorporated anything. So I was curious about your perspective on how Star got treated, especially because I mean we recognize that we don't see everything that happens out on that island, right? So
Yeah, I of course always have to preface things by saying we are only making decisions based off of a TV show that we are seeing for 90 minutes. Well, not even that because of the commercials, but we definitely don't see everything that happens. So it's hard to say. But what I found interesting about Star is that I feel like the way that production is showing her is very interesting because they, did kind of show her as being on the outs and like kind of like not likable, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, she's out here scheming and we didn't really get to see. And then she has this breakout merge episode, the one before and the merge, where she's like, who is this person? She's hilarious. Give her more confessionals. I love her. She is so kind when she's talking to Cedric, just like this like super
Yeah.
dynamic person in this one episode, and I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is the moment. This is happening." And then now she's like gone back to being on the outs and kind of faded into the background, and it's
Yeah.
really strange to me because I truly think like she could be a star of the season. Not just her name, but like I need more of her in the midst of all this other strong people thing. Like I need a little bit of her humor. I need a little injection of her. Like where is she at? Because I don't really know. So sorry, I got straight a little bit off of the
No. That was
um
I
but
completely agree with what you're saying.
yeah, it's tough because production has to, they have to work backwards essentially. So they have to look at the winner and they have to kind of craft their story and then they have to put everyone else's story around that. So that makes me think, where does Star fit into that? Why was she shown to us in this way in the beginning and now she's being shown this way in this? But yeah, gosh, I love Star. I will stand on my rooftop and yell out that I love Star. I think she is incredible.
Yeah, like I've written a couple articles about her, but I think she's like by far one of the most interesting people in this season, and I think it's a real shame. Like she did some like pre-game interviews and stuff like that, and the amount of energy that she had, and that like
Yeah.
even that we've never seen at the game. Like I completely agree with you. Like that moment with Cedric was great, and I loved the moment with her and Eva, like the like connecting for the first, like that, like that. There was
Yeah.
so much. She had so much humanity in that moment. I've been very, very disappointed that we haven't got to see more of her, but like do you like as somebody who's played the game when you're watching her on there, like do you feel like that's a good representation of what's happening out there, or do you feel like there's probably so much of her that we're not seeing?
I think there's so much of her that we're not seeing. Yeah. I think unfortunately this season, what now has come together is that the story of the season is the strong people. And will they stick together? Will they actually stand by this loyalty and integrity idea? And I think that that seems to be the main point this season. And so everyone else is kind of falling below that. At least that's how I feel watching it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. So I also wanted to talk to you about one other Survivor 48 player, but in the context of Survivor 50. So
Okay.
so Thomas, when he was voted out fourth, the he like one
Yes.
of the California girls, I was
Yeah.
super disappointed to see him get voted out because he had so much personality. Like that moment where he was trying to convince them to get rid of the stars clue, I was like, I mean, that's dastardly, and like there was so much personality there. So I would love to see Thomas come back. But there was a movement after he got voted out that I saw on social media, like people wanting him to be a part of Survivor 50, which
Okay.
I, on the other hand, am completely against. Because as much as I would love to see Thomas play again, like in my mind, I want a Survivor 50 to be like this, like ultimate season that has like all these like I don't want the people who've played 1,000 times to come back, but I want people who were invested in. And to me, somebody who got voted out fourth, it does not apply. So if you were in charge, like, would you have like these like really short boot people who were on there for a very short period of time come back if you thought they had potential, or do you agree like it should be like the titans of that haven't gotten to play a whole lot?
I think that they need to do another second chance season, is my opinion, and I think someone like Thomas would be absolutely perfect on a second chance season.
Yeah.
I think that if season 50 is going to be big names, people that we've been wanting to see back for years, I don't think that he fits in on that season, and the same could be said about a lot of people, specifically new era people, and so I would say they need to do a second chance season. They should have already done a second chance season. There's been a lot of talk about this online, but I do think that Survivor has made a mistake in not doing a returning player season somewhere between now and 50, because what's going to happen is that we are going to miss out potentially on a lot of people that could have had a second shot. Like we don't know when somebody goes and plays the first time. We've kind of touched on this, but to talk about it a little bit more, when someone goes to play a first time, we see that one game. But when they go to play a second game, they can be born into a legend. Like we're like, oh my God, wow, like that person. And then they could be the person that's on season 50, right? So because we didn't get that, I think we're kind of robbed of some of these people in New Era being on 50 because production might look at them and be like, yeah, they played really good, but they're not in this league or they're not here. But that's because you didn't give them the chance to be. So I do think that we have missed out on having another season in between 41 and 50. And that is unfortunate because some of those people that should have had another shot may not ever get another shot.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like to your point, like a lot of people forget the fact that like when Boston Rob played the first time, he's like considered like the most famous Survivor player probably of all time. And when he played during Marquesas, he was not that impressive at all. It was when he came back to all from during All Stars that he turned himself into the person that everybody has so much respect for now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's happened with a lot of people. It's like I said, it's hard on your first time. You're learning everything. It's all new. It's exciting. You've been through the casting process. You've had to do pregame. You've had to submit wardrobe. You've had like there's all these things that you don't know about when you go the first time. Whereas the second time or the third, like you're prepped. You know the process. You know what to expect. You mentally can prep, and it's just you're just able to play a completely different game.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I'm curious though. So if you were in charge of casting Survivor 50, are there any specific names that you would throw out there?
Yeah, so I said Angelina, I said Christian. I feel like I could take probably half of the cast of David versus Goliath, if I'm being honest. Like I love Natalie, I love Davy. Give me more Davy. I'm trying to think of who else. Gosh, there's just so many. If we're talking new era, like I love Omer. I think Omer would be a great option. Got really far in the game, great strategist. I would probably say no winners. I'm kind of that type of person where I feel like eh, winners have won, so let's leave them out of it.
Yeah.
Gosh, who else? I don't even have like I don't I had a list started, but I have to see if I because I wanted to do a video actually on who I would pick for 50, but oh, I can't find it now. It's going to take me too long. Let's just start there. I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah, I mean, I think Omer is such a good pick because, like, I do definitely want Survivor 50 to have some new era representation for sure, and he's someone who I really feel like could like just do great if he got the chance to play again.
I think so, definitely.
So the 3 rounds of voting on Survivor 50 that we've had so far, I agree with you 100%. The choices have been underwhelming, but there are there any of them that you're like more interested in? Like I said before, the advanced ones that are interesting to me. Like, how do you feel about getting to vote on like the final four fire making challenge, for instance?
Yeah, that was a big one. Um I think there's a lot of mixed reviews on that. I mean, obviously that was introduced because Jeff felt like all the strong people were getting voted out at 4 and they didn't have another opportunity, but it's also like, well, they did have an opportunity to win immunity. So they did. Yeah, that's a big one. For me, I like more of the I don't like twists, but I like more of the fun stuff. So I mentioned it before. I love the idea of them bringing back the live finale, the live reunion.
Yeah.
Not only for this idea that we see people after the game when there's a live audience, but you've just had this time to process the game. Like
Yeah.
there's so much that you don't see when you're out there because you only have your perspective and like the people you're working with. So as an example, in season 38, I had no idea that David Wright was coming for me as hard as he was. I had no clue. Call me stupid, whatever. I did not know. And so when I watched the season and the first like 5 episodes, it's just like, we're taking down Wentworth, take down Titanic Wentworth. Well, I'm like, wait, what? And so I feel like I just had a better overall understanding of how everyone was playing and why the season was edited the way it was, why certain things happen a certain way or certain votes. And so when you get to the live reunion, you just have a better picture of everything and you can speak to Jeff more clearly and give better answers and it's just better. Whereas when you do it right on the island, like
Yeah.
people are still just kind of in the game. They don't have a chance to process it. So I'm excited about that one. That's the number one thing I'm excited for.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more because, like, to your point, like with people still being in the game, like you look at like Charlie when he lost, like he was so shell shocked throughout like that entire after show that the questions he got asked were fairly useless because he just clearly it had not sunk in whatsoever. So I mean, to me, the reunion is so wildly superior to the after show. The only caveat to that though is like when they have like at the reunions when they have like the Kevin Hart show up or something or like Boston Rock
Yeah.
get there to plug his book. I'm like, wow.
I get it. I
At
know.
least, at
Not
least
not
that's not
everything's
happening
gonna be
anymore.
not everything's gonna be perfect, but I will say I like Charlie, that is such a good example because that is someone that could have really benefited from watching the season, understanding how people perceived him, understanding why Maria voted the way she did. Just getting some closure on things also is really helpful. Whereas when he's sitting there at the end, he doesn't even he still doesn't know why he lost.
Yeah.
Like how what do you expect him to do? What is he supposed to say? It's honestly very similar to how Spencer was in season 31. Like when he got to Ponderosa, he was devastated. He thought that he was going to win season 31. So imagine if we had done the live reunion then and there. Like what is he going to say? He's completely shocked.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, we can stop ranting about the reunion now, but bring it back.
So
We need
like I like one of the things the other reasons because I have watched several of your videos and so I really enjoy the way that you think about Survivor and like the other reality shows that you speak about. So I've learned about this app called Bracketology that I find very interesting that like where you can go and kind of bet on who you think is going to win without actually like having any money on the line. So it's not like it's going to be dangerous or whatever. Like do you know about this app?
Yes. So bracketology, I have been working with them for quite a few years actually. And it's this really cool idea because I had heard for so many years that people are doing these survivor leagues, right? So, people will do like fantasy football. Like my husband does fantasy football. I love football, but I don't play fantasy football. This is a very similar concept. So basically, you have a league and you get like you pick people every week for whatever show. I do Survivor. They have Top Chef, RuPaul's Drag Race, so many different shows. They did Jeopardy recently, and you basically get to choose kind of your squad or your team for the week, and then you get points based on how they perform, things they do, like things they say, finding idols, who's the winner at the end.
One of the things I feel like that absolutely should be getting points on bracketology is the one of the moments that I always am looking for when I'm watching Survivor is that moment where you have somebody in a confessional talking about how they're in control and they're running the show and then they get voted out immediately afterwards. I'm like, that has got to be on there.
That would be negative points. Yes, you can actually have negative points as well. So if someone gets voted out or every vote against them at tribal council, that's negative points. So even if they had a really strong game, they could still be in the negative or in the red because they got a bunch of votes against them.
Yeah, and I love the idea because like when I first started watching Survivor, like the second episode of Survivor ever, way back in the year 2000s, the first episode I watched, and like I remember like how there was such a mania around the show at that time, and then so when it was at the height of its popularity, I remember being in several pools where I was going and making all these bets, and I was like trying to think. I was like, oh, that person's is in the lead, so I can't do this. I can't make the same choices that they make, so otherwise I had no way to get over them. Like I love that like gamifying it element. So like to me that it seems like a really cool idea.
Yeah, it's really fun. And it just takes away, like, I know people kind of have their own ways that they do these different leagues, but if you're looking for something that is already set for you, the rules are already set, you can have a bunch of different teams, have different people playing. It is really fun and they just make it very easy. So I've enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I mean it seems like a really cool idea. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was fascinating to get to talk to you and like I said, I love the way that you think about these games. So it's always really cool to hear your opinions.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate you not asking me if I would be on Survivor 50 because I can't give these secrets away.